It's week 26 of the golfing year, and we're live from Australian Golf Headquarters, home of the PGA of Australia and Golf Australia. And we're here thanks to the brand new Watch My Numbers app. If you haven't downloaded it yet, it's the most powerful database golf app in the world. You can download from the App Store or Google Play. Play smarter and use your data. And Ping, they'll help you play your best, just like they have for Nick O'Hearn. You can see your local golf shop or professional and arrange a Ping club fitting. And the Golf Clearance Outlet. They're in Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane and Perth, and online at golfclearanceoutlet.com.au. Now, former world number 16 Nick O'Hearn and former Tour Pro Mark Allen. This is Talk Birdie to Me.
So I'm driving to work at 5 a.m. this morning.
What are you doing? 5 a.m.?
Yeah.
Are you doing radio?
I'm doing radio. So I'm flicking around on the radio, trying to get some information so I know what I'm going to talk about. SEN were playing the LIV tournament.
In Nashville.
In Nashville.
Yeah.
They had a live feed of the LIV event.
Awesome.
So then
they're doing the Adelaide, obviously. So
yeah, that's right.
They must be doing every event now.
And I was speaking to a fellow named Daniel Harford, who is the breakfast host at RSN. He does a sports show there. He was telling me that on one of the RSN digital channels, they play the PGA Tour radio.
Do they
that
really?
You and I listen to every once in a while when we're driving back from wherever.
Well, we get on the app, don't we?
So at the moment, if you've got access to a digital audio broadcast, DAB radio, then you can listen to either LIV or the PGA Tour in your car
on a Monday morning.
Well, we should clarify. That's if you're in Melbourne. Those stations aren't in other cities doing that.
Are you sure about that, Dan?
Trust me.
That's why Dan's here.
Are you sure about that?
Just pull the reins back in there, Mark.
SEN are in other markets, but RSN are in some. But digital radio is not in regional areas.
Okay. Oh, no, it's not in regional.
No. But what if someone's listening in Mackay and they're thinking, oh, fantastic, great advice from Mark.
You got to use the app.
Right.
Okay.
You can get it on the app.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's a step forward for golf in this country.
100%.
You can have your pick between LIV and the PGA Tour. Unfortunately, you couldn't listen to a ladies' major, which was played at Sahalee.
Yes, but you could watch it.
But that's right, you could watch it.
Yes,
that's exactly
even
right.
better.
You could filter that through your car. Now, I was working, and I know that you've taken great notice of this, but Amy Yang has won the PGA, which is fabulous. Good on Amy. She had a 5-shot lead, I reckon, with 9 holes to play when I had a quick check, and won by 3. Is that right?
Won by 3. Almost, she finished bogey, double bogey par. So it could have been a 6-shot
bogey,
win.
double bogey par.
Yeah, hit in the water on 17. Tough par 3, though. But interestingly, there's an Aussie connection there with Amy Yang.
What is it?
She's South Korean, so started golf age 10. At 15, she moved to the Gold Coast and started playing down here.
Did.
And as a 16-year-old, she won the Australian Ladies Masters, became the youngest ever winner on the LET Tour. She was an amateur. And won that tournament. So, we feel a bit of an Aussie connection here.
That tournament used to be so big. It was it was just a Kari Webb lap of honour. She used to win it every year, it seemed like.
It seemed that way.
Yeah. But I remember that 16-year-old Amy Yang winning that event.
Her.
That was huge news at the time.
Yeah, she's 34 now, and it was a good story. Yeah. It was a good story. She became she's played in, this is her 75th major and her first major win. The only person ever to win a major who was gone longer was Angela Stanford, 76 majors it took her. So she almost broke the record. I do everything.
Have you done some homework coming in here?
It was very quick this morning. I had to have a bit of a look. But no, it was a fantastic win for her. And you could see the support on the 18th green when she finished. There was so many girls around pouring champagne on her, down her top, down her back, everything. And it was just great to see. Nowadays she lives in Orlando, Florida, where she plays at Bay Hill, Lake Nona, and Orange Tree. Yeah. You ever played Orange Tree?
Never played Orange Tree.
An amazing little golf course there in Central Florida, about 5 minutes from where I used to live at Isleworth, very close to Bay Hill. Yeah. Payne Stewart used to go there and practice for the US Open because he used to tee off every hole with a driver. And if he didn't lose a golf ball or didn't get a penalty shot, he knew he was ready.
Or was it garbage either
every
side,
hole, there's out of bounds left, out of bounds right, or water, or whatever, and it is tight. I've played there, and I don't think I've played 18 without a penalty stroke.
You're kidding me, even you?
Yes, and I'm pretty accurate. I hit it, and the only reason one of the rounds was I thought I hit a good drive, but the out of bounds someone had moved the post in about 10 yards
Yeah.
and I was a foot out or something. So
Well, it's
anyway.
funny you say that because I want to talk about Sahalee.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you've been watching a little bit of the ladies' major, their PGA Championship.
Women's PGA Championship. Big purse too. I think
you
it was
would
about
have-
12 million US.
Yeah, if you've been watching golf like you and I have, you would have remembered Vijay Singh winning back in 1980.
1998.
I reckon that was his first major too. I'm not sure. Maybe it wasn't his first major.
I think it was.
But I remember that looking, just as it looks on the TV, as one of the tightest golf courses imaginable from tree line to tree line.
Yeah,
Have
it's
you
in-
ever seen anything like it?
Oh yeah, it's up in Washington State, which is what's that, Northwest?
Yeah.
They're in the States, and they get that very heavy wooded style of
It's a fir tree. It's what I call them anyway. It's
up
like
in
a,
Canada, Vancouver, I played some tournaments up there, very similar. Where
It's
you
a cross between a cypress and a
Yeah.
fir tree.
And
Is
you-
what it looks like to me.
Yeah, and I think they just gobble golf balls, those things. And it was a fascinating scenario on the final hole. Amy Yang had a 3-shot lead, par 5,
Yeah.
hit a good drive. She's got fairway wood into the green, but both sides are lined with these heavy trees. So
Right.
specifically on the left, there's a single fir tree. On the right, it's all the way down. Caddy said, I don't like this fairway wood you've pulled.
Right. Good.
With good reason, I
Yeah.
think, because
She got a 3-shot lead.
she got a 3-shot lead to go wedge, and hey, you're going to win by 3.
That's it.
But she said, no, I like it. Pulls it straight left into this big fir tree.
She
and,
did
and
not.
I'm thinking that ball could stay up there, but it didn't. It went through, and she ended up pitching on and making a par. No worries. But
Because if it stays up there and she can't identify the
Lost
ball,
ball.
or she loses the ball, she's back.
she's back. All of a sudden, she's got to make par from there to win by 1. So
that's where caddies have got to be heavy-handed, I reckon, sometimes.
Well, he verbally said, look, I don't like this. I'm just letting you know. But if you're comfortable, you go. And she said, I'm comfortable. It's like, okay.
See, I don't know about you, Nick, but if I was in that situation and I had pulled the 3-wood and my caddy said, I don't like it, in my head, even if I loved it,
I now have some doubt.
I now have doubt.
Yeah.
That is exactly right. And not only do I have doubt, I don't want my caddy to be right. No way. I don't want to hit the bad shot and then have to look at him.
Totally.
I couldn't imagine that scenario. No, give me the 3-wood. Bang, straight left. And now I've got to give the club back to him, and he's just told me not to hit the thing.
Yeah. I know caddies that would have said, I'm not giving you this club. Here's,
that's right.
here's the wedge.
Yep.
Put the wedge in your hand and just have a few swings and until you feel comfortable, and then we'll go.
Yeah.
But, I was surprised he let her hit that club. At the end of the day, it's the player's choice. You don't have an argument on
Was she trying to get to the
national
green
TV.
in 2?
Yes, trying to knock it on in 2, par 5,
With a 3-shot lead?
with a 3-shot lead.
So if she knocks it on in 2 putts, she wins by
By
4 instead of 3.
Yeah, exactly. There was
And that doesn't go on to the
No, it
the
doesn't.
engraver doesn't
Yeah.
write those details down on the trophy.
and
does
you've just gone bogey, double bogey, by the way.
you've just gone bogey, double bogey.
Anyway, it made for an interesting finish. I will say that.
Now, can I? People might. There will be some people who won't like this, and believe me, I love trees, folks. I love them. I particularly like pine trees. I love beautiful trees on beautiful golf courses. But at that joint, I would cut down 50% of those trees if they threw me the keys and I was allowed to. It was just overkill. I've never seen anything like it, Nick. Sometimes you see these before and afters of golf clubs, and they get rid of a lot of their trees, and it does look an awful lot better. I would love to see that joint.
Sure.
With just half as many big, I don't know what you call them, Northern Californian
I'm
fir
assuming
trees or whatever the hell you call
they're
them.
native to the area, so they're not allowed to take them down. It was probably carved out of a forest, this golf course. I'm not sure.
Well, something's got to be fixed
Okay.
because it was ridiculous. There was a tree in the middle. There was one tree.
I actually like the look of the golf course.
Yeah, I'm saying I like the look of it. I like the look of the trees. They look sensational. Well, let's get rid of a few of them.
I think we might have in feedback next week, Dan, some tree loving comments.
Well, I think we will. The problem you've got, though, is if you're going to advocate chopping down half the trees at Sahalee, then you're going to have the climate change people protesting you instead of protesting.
Listen, I don't know.
At the Travellers.
It's a big earth, and there are lots of trees. And if we're going to make a golf course look even more beautiful for people to play and a little bit faster and just a better look, then I'm all for it.
Okay.
I'm all for it.
All right. Well,
And looking after the trees that they have.
well,
Are you an advocate for cutting trees down, Dan, or?
Oh, well, not generally, no. But no, I understand the point you're making, though. I think it's a
just too
reasonable
much.
point.
Yeah, it's just too much. I think It looks to me like somebody on committee really loved trees about 60 years ago and went on a planting mission. And did they hit every single CPI available on planting trees? They knocked it out of the park.
I don't want to be that person.
Yes.
However, last time I checked, this was a golf podcast. It has very quickly become Gardening Australia. So
It has.
We do talk about grass a lot and trees and the look of golf courses. What about the look of some climate change people running onto the 72nd green?
Some coloured paint on the
paint.
final green.
I respect everyone's right to protest,
Yes.
and particularly about climate change. I respect your right, absolutely. But go away, will you? Go away. They did well to
They did.
get it back. Did you see the tackle?
Yeah, it was a pretty good one from behind.
I only saw the tackle on the news. Now, Scotty Scheffler didn't have a putt over that tackle mark on the green to win the tournament,
No.
did he?
So what happened, Tom Kim or Akshay Bhatia, who was playing with them, they had to move their ball to get out of the line of the paint. I think that
okay.
might have been something as well, and there might have been a couple of indentations. As it turned out, in the playoff, they moved the hole.
Oh, good.
So they changed the hole location from where it used to be.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the commentators are going, well, how are they going to do this? This is going to make the tournament blah, 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 all different and everything. Apparently, on the Korean Tour, whenever they have a playoff,
Yeah, that's true.
every playoff hole, if they play the same hole, they change the hole each time.
It's a fantastic
So
thing they
it's
do.
a great idea.
It's a great idea.
So if you play the 18th 4 times, you're going to play it with 4 different hole locations.
How good's that?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
brilliant.
that is just sensible.
I
isn't
think
it?
they should bring that into regular playoffs.
Absolutely.
What do you think on the PGA
Absolutely,
Tour?
Nick.
Yeah,
I mean, what's
be a
the
great
use of
idea.
going up and down, up and down? I mean,
Yeah.
I get you just play one hole because it's where all the corporates are. It's where all the grandstands are, and that makes sense. But on some of those really crazy long, ridiculous playoffs, how about putting it, a crazy pin position, one step from a tier or
Brilliant. Get it over and done with. Absolutely.
Let's organise. Yeah, I think it is a fantastic
Maybe
idea.
we should start that here in Australia when we get a playoff going.
Well, we should.
We'll have a word to him. But Scotty Scheffler won his 6th tournament in I don't know how many weeks.
And what he's winning after a certain month now, too.
Yes,
Isn't he? He's won it twice after a certain month. Was it April?
Exactly. It was February to April.
Yeah.
And he won the Memorial back in May, and now this Travellers tournament, which is up in Hartford.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're in June, so that's 2 wins since he's had his son. What was his name again, Dan?
Bennett.
Bennett Scheffler. Apparently, fatherhood is not distracting him from his game.
Well, it's funny you say that because I've always had a theory that when a tour professional has their firstborn, quite often they win because they say, "Sorry, darling, I've got to go practice. I just haven't been hitting my wedges as well as I'd like."
They actually get some sleep that week.
And they get out of the house and they actually practice their game. I now just keep an eye on it. But you watch what happens. We'll see another professional somewhere along the line have a newborn and get a win very quickly.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Hey, is that what happened when you had your children?
When I had my children, I hadn't hit a golf ball for money for about 10 years.
Of course, that's right. Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
I was done and dusted.
Yeah. I see they had a 59 as well.
What's
during
the
the week.
past 70, isn't it?
Cameron Young, shot 59, got it up and down on the last.
But
Break
you
the
and I
magical
both,
60.
You and I both know that's not a real 59.
Well, it's still pretty impressive,
It's
though.
pretty good.
Yeah.
You've got to shoot 13 under for it to be a real 59.
It's a golf course where you can do it on. I love playing that event. I came close to winning one year there because it suited me down to the ground.
Why did it
And-
suit you?
Oh, it's not long. Very strategic. They had a couple of, like the par 5, especially on the back 9, I think it's 13. The par 5 is reachable even for me. 15's a drivable par 4, reachable for me, which is fantastic. You needed a good short game. You just had to, it was one of those courses you had to go low, but you had to be very accurate.
Small greens?
Smallish. Yeah, it's just a good...
I'd back you anywhere with small
Yeah,
greens.
it's a good, fun tournament. The golf course isn't great, but it suited me really well, and the people of that area are incredible. And by the way, the police force there know how to arrest people.
Oh, really?
I think the people in Louisville should get some tips off the Cromwell police as to how to take non-professional golfers into custody.
Really? Hey, did you see? This was on social media.
The climate change protesters I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. But not long after Scotty Scheffler was in jail, a golf club had their member guest. And it's a member guest where everybody is in the car park in their golf cart getting ready to go out.
Okay.
And this guy drove in with a police officer hanging off his car like a fake. He had the fingers tucked on the window.
It was a mannequin or something.
Yeah, it was a mannequin, and he's driven in with a police officer hanging off the car.
Oh, I love that. I love it.
Gee, they're good over it. It's very
make for a
funny.
good Halloween, I'd say.
And everybody in the car park, they're all. He must have waited until everybody was ready to go. Someone must have called him and said, "Okay, we're all waiting for you." And he drove in. It's very funny. I will try and find it, and we'll post it. I'm sure I liked it, and I'll find it on my likes. Australian Open, Nick. We were told it was going to be announced this week.
We were.
So
we are.
Our fingers are crossed.
Yes.
We won't give away any secrets because that's not for us to do. That's
not for us to announce.
No, that's for Golf Australia to announce. But let's hope it is this week.
Yep. Be good to get it out there.
And to be honest, I've stopped digging, so I don't know much about it. But it'll be interesting to know whether it's a men's and women's Australian Open.
I am hearing it's both.
Are you?
I believe. That's the last thing I heard.
Well, that's interesting because I believe Dr. Handa, who is a person of note when it comes to golf sponsorship.
Yes.
All over the world.
Handa.
Yeah, he's got Handa on Minjee Lee and Hannah Green and quite a few players. Minwoo Lee, there's Handa. You'll see it everywhere. I keep on getting told that Dr. Handa signed a deal for 3 years that it had to be a men's and women's event.
Yep.
So that may well have been the stumbling block for quite some while. So we don't know the detail, but we are going to try our very best to get somebody on this podcast on sooner rather than later. Just to try and because a lot of people want to know what's going on, and why it's come to this.
Well, I think if it gets announced this week, I think, Dan, it'd be great to have someone on next week, hopefully, on our pod.
I totally agree.
To chat with them
if there's an announcement
about the process and how it's all happened.
If there is an announcement this week, which the rumour is that there may well be, maybe middle of this week sometime, if that is the case, why don't we put it on? Well, let's try and get the boss on. Let's try and get James on if we can.
Okay.
Be worthwhile.
Well, I'll pop upstairs and we'll see if James is hanging around and we'll try and organise something for a little bit later. Just as we go to the break.
Be good to get his view on trees, by the way, too.
I'm not going to ask James Sutherland about trees. That's Sahalee.
Might be a few other questions.
Well, he might have. He's a listener to the podcast. He doesn't miss it. So maybe he'll have his own view and we'll just volunteer it.
Maybe.
I don't know. I do not know. Now, our plan is for a bonus pod with Jonathan Yarwood later in the week.
Looking forward to this.
I cannot wait. So hopefully that'll happen. So tune in and we will let you know at some stage whether Jonathan is a go or not for a bonus podcast a little later in the week.
If we get him, we'll do it on Friday.
Send it out on Friday?
Yeah.
Yep.
Can't wait to talk to him about Michael Campbell and the Quarter Sisters and things like that, who he's coached throughout the years.
All right. Well, I've got a top 5 coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
what is it?
It's the top 5 golf course with too many trees. No, it's not.
No, come on.
Well, in honour of Nelly Corder.
Right. Well, she missed the cut again.
Well, she's missed 3 cuts in a row.
3 in a row.
Well, that's a slump.
That's a slump.
The first one was a slump.
Wow. Okay.
This is a super slump. Well, she won 6 out of 7 events.
She won 5 in a row, 6 out of 7, and now she's missed the last 3.
Missed the last 3.
2 of those are majors.
So in honour of Nelly Corder in a super slump, I'm going to
a mini slump.
Present my top 5 golf slumps.
Ooh, I like that.
And I'll see you on the 10th too.
Okay.
Thanks for listening to Talk Birdie to me, and if you're up for it, we'd love you to subscribe, rate and share the podcast wherever you listen. And thanks to our great partners who make the show possible, Ping, they'll help you play your best. Watch My Numbers, the most powerful database golf app in the world. And the Golf Clearance Outlet. They beat everyone's prices. Now, back to Nick O'Hearn and Mark Allen.
Righto, time for the top 5. I know we got a voicemail too. I heard the little chirp a little while ago, Dan.
Yeah,
what
we'll
happened?
get to that shortly. The other thing I do want to mention, we've got feedback coming up later on. There's plenty of feedback. So much so that what we might do is do a Q&A bonus feedback pod later this week. We've got plenty coming in. However, there's a whack.
There's a whack.
There's a whack today.
Who's it for?
Who's it for?
I'm not going to say any more.
I always seem to get the whacks lately.
I'm not going to say any more. However, the phrasing would be out of touch.
Out of touch.
That's you, Nick.
That's got to be me.
It's got to be.
I'm always out of. I'm not in my lane.
Top five.
I'm out of touch.
We'll get to that shortly. What's the top 5 on again, Mark?
This week's top 5 is professional golf slumps. Now, I do want to, just before I present this, there are slumps and then there are complete career meltdowns. This is more in the slump lane.
Okay.
So I would think that our new chairman of the PGA, Ian Baker Finch, probably falls into the career meltdown.
Yes.
Sorry, Finchy, if you happen to be listening. But this is more just slumps.
Okay. So periods in their career where they just struggled for a while.
Where they just, they were in a struggle town.
I wonder if you've got an Englishman in there.
I've got one.
Oh.
One Englishman.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to go all Nick O'Hearn here, and I've got 2. Well, he didn't get in my top 5. There is an Englishman in the top 5, but this Englishman, after a stellar amateur career...
Oh, this is what I was thinking.
Okay,
right.
an incredible amateur career, including a 4th place in the British Open, turned professional, and then missed 17 cuts in a row.
Yes.
Justin Rose, welcome to Slumpville.
I played with Justin during that streak.
Did you?
Yeah, over on the European tour at the time,
yeah.
and he was handling it with grace.
Was
I will
he
say
really?
that. Yeah, very nice young man at the time. How old was he? 17?
I think he turned pro at 18.
18.
Yeah,
Okay,
he
right.
just
He
turned
might.
18.
I think he might have missed 21 cuts in a row.
Yeah,
I'm not
something
sure. It
crazy.
was a lot, and I was feeling for
Yeah.
the guy too.
Yeah.
I was really feeling for
this
him.
is professional slumps, and he kind of went from amateur to professional, so he's just missed out.
Okay.
Otherwise, that would have been
All right,
a good one.
So
At
it's a
number
top
5.
6, basically, right?
At number 5, Michelle Wee.
Ooh.
She was destined for superstardom. She was going like a bat out of hell, and then started fiddling around with the golf swing.
Yep.
She was never the same.
No.
I think she went on to win a major at some stage, but she was never the dominant force that we thought she was going to be.
As a 13-year-old, remember when she almost made the cut at the Sony Open?
Missed by one shot as a 14-year-old
You
schoolgirl.
saw that golf swing and you thought, do not touch it.
Off the men's tees. Ridiculous. At number 4, this bloke won an Australian Open, won multiple events in Europe. Then, when he came to Australia, they were pairing him with me. That's how bad he was going.
Oh, I thought that might have been the start of the slump. Okay.
His name is Lee Westwood.
Oh, okay.
Lee Westwood.
He did, yes.
He was on the way to being a superstar, then completely lost his game. And like I said, he came down. I had to play with him twice in Perth at the Johnny Walker Classics.
Wow.
He saw me hit a reverse shank. A reverse shank. You know what a reverse shank is?
Is that off the toe?
A reverse shank is when you hit the other side of the hosel. So instead of it going...
Instead of going right.
Instead of it going right, I had a second shot late carried up. It's the second par 5 with the water on the right. It was about the 16th. So I've ripped a drive, and I've got 3-iron in. So I banged a drive.
Oh, 15, yeah.
15.
Dog leg, yep.
15, and I was so scared of the water on the right. And I was on the cut line. I hit this shot, and it went left off the hosel. Anyway, I'm walking up, and he just walked up to me, looked at me with his eyebrows as high as he could possibly get him, and he said, "In all my years of playing golf, I've never seen a reverse shake." Anyway, Lee Westwood,
I've never seen it either.
for being paired with me, you are number 4 on the top 5 slump list. At number 3, now this bloke was a superstar. He hit a 3-wood further than any man's ever hit a further with a 3-wood. And straight and a good swing and strong. And Apparently, when he hit the ball, it made a different sound, but then he went off the rails. Apparently, he made a few bad investment choices. I don't know. And that affected him.
A Swedish golfer?
A Swedish player.
Yeah, yes.
Henrik Stenson.
Yes.
Got his game back. He couldn't even win his club championship at his home course. I don't know why he was playing in the club championship as a worldwide superstar.
It's weird how I've played with these players during their slumps, because I played with him in Germany one year at the Deutsche Bank tournament.
Yeah.
And you're right about his 3-wood. It was just unbelievable how straight and long he hit this thing when he was playing well.
Yeah.
But he hit a tee shot at least 2 fairways wide.
Really?
It was insane how it was like a driver shank, but he flushed it. He flushed a driver shank. I mean, how do you do that?
So he hit the middle of the golf club.
Yeah.
And it went 2 fairways wide?
At least. It was so wide. It was unbelievable.
Right?
Right, yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, it was horrific.
One
of the nice guys.
And got his game back.
Mm.
And ended up shooting one of the best rounds ever in a British Open to beat Phil Mickelson.
Correct.
One of the great shootouts in the Open Championship.
Indeed.
At number 2, this man got to number 1 in the world. Shot a real 59 in the last round. Eagled the last to do it.
Palm Springs.
And then a bloke called Tiger Woods came along. And David Duval decided that he needed to get better to compete with Tiger Woods and went into a long slump trying to get rid of his closed club face, is the way I remember it.
Well, I had a feeling with David, I might have to dispute you on this one. He got to number 1 in the world and he's gone, is this it? Is this what being number 1's like? And thought, okay, it's not that big a deal. What do I do now? And then I think that's when things started going off the rails for him a bit there.
I remember it differently, but that's okay. I don't mind having your view.
I've had a couple of wines with David over the years, and he's a lovely guy.
God, I used to play practice rounds with him in the Nike Tour, and he won that much money off me. It was not funny.
Oh, yes.
Playing a game called Hammer. God, he used to love playing Hammer. And he ripped me every week. Okay, that's number 2. And at number 1, you can't win 6 out of 7 weeks and then miss the next 3 cuts in a row without being in a super slump. And that honour goes to Nelly Corder.
Okay. Wow.
Well, the 81 in the second round.
69-81.
69-81 to miss the cut.
That's hard, by 1, by the way.
Yuck.
That's tough to do.
Is she still number 1 in the world?
Oh, yeah, by a street. Yeah.
Even after missing so many cuts.
3. Only 3.
In a row?
I've missed 6 in a row. What do you call that sort of a slump?
Yeah, that's
how many? What's the most you've ever missed in a row?
Well, I always tell this story at Sportsman's Nights. My first tournament, I holed a wedge at the Air New Zealand Shell Open at Titiringi Golf Club on the 72nd hole to finish 8th.
Mm-hmm.
I called Mum and I said, Mum, they're giving money away. This is so easy. Then I missed the next 16 cuts in a row.
16?
16 in a row. But the best bit was, back in those days, you had the Monday qualify. I Monday qualified 16 times in a row.
Did you really?
And missed all those cuts.
Oh, that's expensive.
And then finished, shot 67 in the last round at Paraparaumu in New Zealand and missed going back to the tour school. Kept my card and off I went.
There you
Ridiculous.
Go. Good story.
Oh, I think you guys are delaying the feedback.
Yes, we are.
Okay. Are we ready for the feedback?
You are.
All right.
You are wise.
We've had a lot of comments on Rory over the last week around the comments that were made and some of the conversations were going on. Mm-hmm. Dan has written in and said he needs someone this is talking about the caddy, he'll need someone who'll challenge him. His caddy seems like a butler. I know it's his mate, but maybe he could be a better friend and step aside and just be his friend. The Golf Channel had a slightly heated discussion between McGinley and Brandel about this as well.
I missed it.
I missed that.
I missed that. But it's quite obvious.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's fine for regular tournaments, as we know.
Yeah.
But in majors, when the pressure is at its most, and especially Rory, 10 years, and you know he's feeling, you need someone there that's going to
I'll ask this question
make better
of you,
decisions for you.
If Steve Williams was caddying for Rory McIlroy in the last round, or in fact even just for the whole week, how many shots would Rory have won by?
Probably 3.
Yeah, 3. He would have won by 3 shots.
Yeah. Would have parred the last 4.
Yep.
John Heath agrees. He needs an older head, someone to say, this is the club to use right now. Jake Cameron also agrees he could do with a more established caddy, but his wedge-short iron play abandoned him again in the 4th round of a major. He did miss those 2 nasty 3-footers. However, if his wedge game is on, I still think he wins.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. He hit some poor wedges.
Yeah, but he still had a 2-shot lead with 4 to go.
That's exactly right. That is also correct.
Jeffries has said, how many comps has he won with him on the bag? Before you go dumping him, You got such short memories, boys.
How many majors has he won with him on the bag?
Sometimes in the heat of battle in a major, like Nick O'Hearn just said, it's very, very important.
Scotty has said, I think Harry's an easy target. Rory never gave him the job for his caddying experience. He wanted a mate out there that he could trust and enjoy being around. I love your show.
Okay.
Thank you
So
for
you
the
can
feedback.
bring mates around. He can have his own little entourage.
Absolutely. Was
Yeah.
that Scotty Scheffler who sent that in? Or?
Oh, maybe.
He can have his own little entourage out there, but yeah, you need a caddy on the bag.
Scott Lewis says you can't recreate the pressure Rory was under there, and that putt was pretty hard anyway, but the real error, in my view, was his driving.
A little birdie told me then when Nick O'Hearn was watching that final putt on the 72nd hole, he announced to everybody on his table at Royal Melbourne that this was the hardest putt and would be the hardest putt that he's had all week.
Yeah, he just the one place he couldn't leave it.
Yep.
High and above the hole, a cup left to right break. Yeah.
And I don't think he didn't hit that bad a putt.
He had a good putt.
He had a good putt.
Just underread it.
Yep.
Cho Uncle has said, I can't comprehend how nobody seems to say what needs to be said. Rory thinks he's bigger than the game. His behaviour afterwards was a disgrace, and it has not even occurred to him. Actually, that's not true. He has put a post out saying that he could have been a bit, to me, this is staggering. Bryson won, but Rory thinks it's all about him.
I disagree with that. I mean, it's an individual sport. You've got to, I don't know, you individually, you've got to play the cards you're dealt on the day. I know there's a lot of Rory angst and hate out there for some reason, Nick. I reckon you might feel this around the place as well. I don't know why that is. Maybe just because he was the mouthpiece of the PGA, but I don't find him offensive.
No, you're always going to have an opinion on Rory because he is in front of the camera every day.
Yeah.
As one of the best players in the world, part of your deal is to speak to the media, the press every day, and he's quite opinionated. He actually says what he thinks most of the time, and maybe the reason he probably didn't stay around for the press conference because he thought he was going to say what he actually thought and felt, and I think that would have endeared him to people, and he should have done it.
Yeah.
So it was a shame.
I always felt that when he was going, when he was full on PGA Tour and spewing the things that seemed to be put in the back of his mind, when he backtracked, I kind of liked him more. I thought, okay, that's great. I mean, I'm glad you're doing this. But a lot of people look at that completely differently. They look at the backtrack as a display of weakness or something. But
No, I don't know.
well, I'm glad he's moved on.
The commissioner should have been the one in front of the microphone in the beginning.
That is correct.
Peter Strandley saw your masterclass last week, Mark, where you were talking about pressure putts.
Yes.
Inspired a little bit by Rory. And Peter said, thanks for the tip, Marco. I'll bang it in next time I have a downhill putt to win a major.
And he did it in one take too. It was very impressive.
Yes, I understand.
On Bryson, Bahama Golf Pro has written, again, Bryson is easily the most popular golfer in the world right now. He is box office.
Yeah,
I think he is.
He's a character. That's for sure.
And I think his YouTube channel has turned around his life. I mean, I think because he was only playing 14 tournaments a year, he had some time to do some stuff, and he started this YouTube channel, and I think he has grown from the feedback that he gets from this YouTube channel, and he has become, I'm going to say, the most important player in golf at the moment. I think a lot of people want to see him back playing with everybody again. I think he is the most important player in golf at the moment.
Yeah, he's fascinating. Who was it? It was Jordan Zunick sent me a thing the other day. I forgot to forward it on to you guys, but it was about Bryson and how much he practices between tournaments. And they said, do you play much golf? And he says, no, I don't play. He does not practice playing on the golf course. He just practices on the range. Yeah,
Wow.
he just hits balls. He might go out and play 3 or 4 holes every now and then just to get a feel of what's happening, but very rarely plays golf holes. Isn't that bizarre?
That is bizarre.
I've never heard of that before. But it
Never.
obviously works for him.
He's going well.
Good on him.
Still on Bryson. Hey, Mark, Nick and Dan. Watching the final round of the US Open last week and seeing Bryson stop mid-March between green and tee, halfway through the back nine to interact with a disabled fan and sign their hat, I reckon one of the most classy moves ever made in a championship winning round. Can you guys think of any other similar acts made at such a crucial moment in a final round by a golfer.
No, not many that caught on camera, but it does happen. It really does happen quite a lot.
Rory did it about 10 minutes earlier, I think. Yeah, he did the same thing, and a number of the players did the same thing as they go past. So it was lovely of them to do that. Yeah.
I think Bryson's interaction was the most powerful with that young man, but a lot of play. I mean, there are so many things that these guys do around the golf course that will never ever be reported. Most of them have their heart in the right place and do the right thing when confronted with that stuff.
Yep. Couple of final ones, and then, by the way, I've got a Coffs Harbour update too on young Eden too, which I'll give you. Dale has written in about Southern, where you were a couple of days ago, Nick.
I played then and loved it, by the way.
Very enjoyable course indeed. That statue is an absolute ripper. And Dazza has said, I love Nick and Mark's commentary on the TV of the Oz Tour events, and they continue each week with their informative views and humour. This is a top-notch podcast that I look forward to each week.
That's nice to hear.
That's bloody nice, isn't it?
It is nice. Thank you.
Okay. Whack.
Oh, and you're looking at me.
You sparked up all of a sudden there.
No, I haven't sparked up.
He loves this moment,
He
doesn't
does.
he? He loves it.
Well, unless it's me getting away.
Okay.
Ashley has said, hi guys, I love the pod.
Right.
Good start.
Is there a but?
Yes.
However.
Regarding your recent discussion about costs to play public courses, you guys are out of touch in regards to playing great public courses on weekends. I'm in Victoria, and I haven't played a very good golf course, in inverted commas, for $100 or less with a cart. Great courses I played recently, and the costs, Moona, $125 plus cart. Dunes, $120 plus cart. 13th Beach, $145 plus cart.
Wow.
Anglesey, $95 plus cart. Lonsdale Links, $95 plus cart. You can get a bit cheaper during the week, or if you have a group of 12 or more, but even run-of-the-mill courses are a minimum $50 a person. Too many invites and freebies, boys. You need to get back in touch with the average Joe.
Okay, well, that's very interesting. What's that young person's name?
That is from Ashley.
Good on you, Ashley.
Thank you.
I tell you what, from our listeners, if there are some public golf courses out there that are under $100 for golf and a cart, or around the $50 mark that you can play on the weekend, let us know.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because the courses that Ashley is playing, they're fabulous places.
They are.
They're really good places to play.
They're some of the best courses in Australia, let alone public courses.
Yeah, that's right.
Ashley's also said, just to finish off, I also played Barnbougle and King Island last year, well over $100, but worth every cent. Ocean Dunes, better than Cape Wickham, in my opinion. Thanks for the pod.
Brilliant. It's okay.
Now, I spoke this week to, you remember the discussion around Eden in Coffs Harbour, the young girl who wasn't allowed to play competition, and obviously they were very upset about that, the parents, and it was a ridiculous decision, as you spoke about at length, both of you. They had the AGM a week ago in Coffs Harbour where they were voting on whether they would allow or enable that to change.
Right.
Okay.
The results of the AGM, the vote was not to allow cadets to play competition up to age 14. No competition for cadets at Coffs Harbour. None.
Wow.
Even if they're playing with mum and dad and there's spots on the timesheet.
Not playing. No, I spoke to Eden's mum, Steph, and she said that they have moved Eden to Sawtell. Sawtell's just south of Coffs. It's in Coffs Harbour. It's a suburb in the southern area of Coffs Harbour. So they've moved her club, and and the AGM didn't go their way, which
That's reasonably crazy. That's a crazy thing to do.
it seems very strange, doesn't it?
If you've got adults and you've got space and they can play, they've got a handicap, it's just a Stableford comp.
Yeah. It only needs to be a couple of groups too at the end of the field or something
End of the
like
field.
that. Yeah.
No worries.
Good on Sawtell though. They've obviously said no, come and play here.
Yeah.
So they're going to
Great for other clubs. Yeah. All right, this week we had the Women's PGA Championship, the KPMG Women's PGA Championship at Sahalee, where Mark Allen wants to knock down a number of their trees.
50% of them.
50%?
Yep.
Wow.
Tree header.
Open the joint up.
Incredible. Our Australian Amy Yang, no, she's not Australian, but she did live here for a little while. We're going to claim her for a little bit. Broke through for her first major championship in her 75th attempt. What an incredible story that is. Had a 3-shot win over Lilia Vu, Jin Young Ko, and Miyu Yamashita from Japan. The caddy, as I mentioned, tried to talk her out of that second shot into 18. Didn't matter in the end anyway. It was a nice 3-shot win. Lexi Thompson also was up there. Did you see her final round, Mark?
No.
8 over through 8.
And
shot 2 over.
Oh, well done.
6 under the last 10 holes on a golf course which was very tough on a course where 7 under was the winning score. She was 6 under her last 10 holes, so all credit to Lexi. Apparently she's playing much better since she announced retirement, so very impressive. Of the Australians, best was Minjee Lee and Hannah Green, tied for 24th. Hannah won here a couple of years ago, so it was a great for her to be back there and trying for another major title. Gabby Ruffles tied for 46th, along with Lydia Ko. Steph Kiriakou tied for 52nd, and Grace Kim tied for 60th. On the PGA Tour, they were up at the Travellers Championship, which is a signature event, one of their biggest. Scotty Scheffler won in a playoff from Tom Kim, who led most of the way, actually, Tom Kim. He's an outstanding young player. Hold about an 8-foot putt on the final green after the climate change protest that had come onto the green. They had to wait about 15 minutes for it all to get cleared, but he held an 8-footer to force a playoff, but then unfortunately made a bit of a hash of the first playoff hole. But that's Scotty Scheffler's 6th win of the year, and it's the most in a single year since Tiger did it in 2009. Tiger has 6, 7, 8-year wins, like 5 or 6 times. I mean, that's incredible. But for Scotty to come along and do it in this day and age, pretty impressive as well. As I mentioned, Cameron Young had a 59 on Saturday. What a round of golf that was. Of the Australians, Adam Scott was best, tied for 39th. Jason Day tied for 44th. And Cameron Davis tied for 48th. So not the best result there for the Aussies. On the Live Tour, they were in Nashville at the Grove, a Greg Norman design. Did you see Greg Norman
tending the flag?
Tended the flag for Bryson DeChambeau on the party hole on a par 3.
Yeah.
I think Bryson was going, who the hell's that up there?
Yeah, Bryson didn't know who it was.
He
had
know.
no clue. I don't think the commentators knew there for a while
But
either.
since security weren't running out, you kind of figured it was probably the boss, right? Yeah. Anyway, England's Tyrrell Hatton had a 6-shot win over Sam Horsfield, and it tied for 3rd. It was John Rahm and Bryson as well. So they were obviously going nuts for Bryson after his US Open.
Some of the footage from there was very Adelaide-esque as well.
It was a big one.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, it was a big one.
They got a lot of people out there. It was very, very impressive. Legion 8 had the win, not Legion 13. Legion 8 had the win.
Did the Majestics get on the podium?
No, they didn't.
They still haven't got on the podium?
I don't think so, no.
That's what when I said I was listening to it this morning, that's what they said. Yeah. They said the Majestics in their entire time has never been on the podium in the teams event.
Yeah, they're not
that
a good
surprised
team.
me.
Not a great team, unfortunately. Yeah, okay. They might need to do some recruiting. Now, who would have thought Tyrrell Hatton would win a live event before John Rahm, by the way?
Right.
Because they went
amazing.
at the same time, didn't they? Incredible. But Legion 8 won, Crushers were 2nd, and Team Talk were 3rd. The Australian team Ripper were finished in a tied for 6th with Cam Smith, tied for 9th on the individual. Mark Leishman tied for 18th, Matt Jones tied 40th, and Lucas Herbert tied for 48th. So they sort of brought up the rear a little bit in that sense. On the DP World Tour, they were in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, for the KLM Open, and Italy's Guido Migliozzi won his 4th DP Tour World title in a 3-man playoff from Englishman Joe Dean and Sweden's Marcus Kinhult.
He's a gun, this kid, isn't he? Just Migliozzi.
He certainly is. Migliozzi and Dean both earn Open Championship spots. They gave away 2 spots to the leading 2.
That's fabulous they do that.
Yeah, Dean got it over Kinhult because his official world golf ranking was higher. We had a couple of Aussies who made the cut who we haven't seen on the DP World in a little while. Andrew Martin tied for 51st, along with Tom Power Horan. So good to see them over there and playing at least, because we haven't seen them get many starts in Europe at the moment. On the Ladies European Tour, they had the Czech Ladies Open, where Spain's Marta Martin had a 4-shot win over English woman Rosie Davis. Marta shot 63 in the final round. Very impressive. Best of the Aussies, Kelsey Bennett tied for 13th and Kirsten Rudgley tied for 33rd. On the Asian Tour, they were at the Colon Korea Open. I think that's how you say it. Colon or Colon? I'm not sure. Colon Korean Open. Travis Smythe was the best of the Aussies, tied for 28th, but Korea's Minku Kim had a 3-shot win over countryman Yong Hung Sung, and they both earned Opens spots as well. They gave 2 away on the Asian Tour, which is great. It is very, very good. Corn Ferry Tour, the Compliance Solutions Championship in Oklahoma, where American John Pack had a 3-shot win there. Unfortunately, the Aussies didn't do so well. Dimi Papadakis missed the cut. Tim Wilkerson was a New Zealand who did make the cut but finished towards the back of the field. And Aidan Dodoni, our Watch My Numbers guy, he Monday qualified, which was great, but unfortunately missed the cut. But he's playing a lot of these mini tour events over there and trying to qualify for the
We've spoken about this a couple of times. Making a cut on the Corn Ferry Tour is the hardest cut in the world to make. It is. What was it, about 6 or 7 under?
Probably, yeah.
It would have been crazy. It would have been crazy.
The winning score there is a 20-25 under week in, week out. On the Challenge Tour, they were in France, in Ploneuf. Ping's John Parry won in a playoff over Per Langfors from Sweden. That's John's second win. And of the Aussies, Conor McKinney tied for 40th. On the Epsom Tour, they were in Michigan, which got shortened to 36 holes due to weather, where Subin Ju had a one-shot win over 5 players. Best of the Aussies, Cassie Porter tied for 42nd, and Madison Tolshard tied for 51st, her first check as a professional, which is great because she just recently turned. On the LET Access story, Mark, you're going to love this. Remember I spoke last week about a German amateur winning back-to-back?
Yeah.
Helen Bream.
The manager needs to turn pro, but she turned pro?
No, and she's just won 3 in a row now.
She did not.
3 tournaments in a row. She's created history, becoming the first amateur to win 3 professional tournaments in a row.
Well, there's someone out there who's an amateur who's won 2. I guess it was her.
Maybe. She just keeps making history,
That
I guess.
is unbelievable.
In her defence, the reason she hasn't turned pro is apparently she's got school exams coming up because she's only 18.
Well, that makes sense.
I wonder what the prize money is for those 3 events. It'd be interesting to know what she's missed out on.
Well, it's the Access Tour, so it's a secondary tour over there.
Huge.
But it's still some good cash. I'm sure she's going to do fine in sponsorships when she does turn pro.
I know she hasn't won money, but I hope she's won points, and those points go towards.
I'm assuming she'll have
getting her card somewhere else.
Exactly. Best of the Aussies was Steph Bunkett, tied for 14th, and we also had a New Zealander there, Hani Song, who also finished 14th. Moving along, we had the Champions Tour in the United States, which is the over 50s. The Dix Open in New York, where for a third straight year, Padraig Harrington took out the win. 3 years in a row he's won this tournament over Canadian Mike Weir. And it was just to come a week after Padraig got inducted into the Hall of Fame as well. He's had a hell of a career, the Irishman, and a lovely guy. Does some great stuff on social media too. Some of his videos. He can talk underwater, that
Our
fella.
boys were going well, weren't they? The Aussies.
Mark Hensby tied for 3rd.
Yeah.
Your cousin, Stephen Allen, tied for 6th. And David Branston tied for 13th. Cameron Percy tied 20th. And Rod Pampling 21st were the best of all the Aussies. And then on the Legend Tour, finally, which is over in Europe for the over 50s, they had the OFX Irish Legends Championship in County Louth. Brazilian Adilson de Silva won in a 3-hole playoff over Sweden's Patrick Scholand. Michael Long, best of the Australasians, tied for 16th. Chucky Fowler tied 22nd. And Scott Hend tied for 28th. That's our Ping Global results.
Well done.
Now, the voicemail message went off about 20 minutes ago, and we haven't checked it yet, so we probably should do that.
You have one new voicemail. New message.
Yeah, g'day, Nick, Mark and Dan. Great podcast as usual. Keep up the good work, guys. This question's mainly for Nick. I've put a picture, I think, on your social media so you can get to see it, show it to Mark and Dan. Nick, when you used to play Isleworth, is the second hole at Isleworth seriously one of the toughest par 3s you've played anywhere in the world? I was watching a video on YouTube when Ryan Raffles played it, and fair dinkum, it looked like an absolute monster of a par 3. You walk off with 3 there, you're a genius. So I'm just curious to hear your thoughts. Thanks for everything, guys. Cheers, bye.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Yeah, that is one hell of a par 3. It's the second hole at Isleworth, where I used to live for about 13 years, and if I ever made a 3 or a 4 there, by the way, guys, 4 was not a bad score.
It was that good. So explain the hole.
So it's about, I'm trying to think, from the back tee to the front of the green is about 190 metres, something like that, and the green is about 40 deep. So you could make it about a 230-metre par 3 if you played to the back pin, if you put it a few paces off the back. But very narrow green. Trees, there's this chute you got to fly your ball through to begin with. So if you don't start it on line, you're hitting a tree and you're in the hazard, okay, and drop another one. I think the drop was around the other side, so you could then wedge it on at least. So that was one benefit of that. But if you go right, you're in the water. Short, you're in the water. Left, you're in this bunker or down this big slope. Trying to get it up and down from there was an absolute nightmare. So one of the toughest par 3s in the world, definitely. And funnily enough, behind that second tee, just to make it even more difficult whenever I played there, they had the 9th tee going crossways to it. So it added about another 20 metres. So what I used to do is go back and practice my driver from the 9th tee, and I'm probably sure the GM there, Wayne Sheffield, is listening to this podcast because I know he's a listener. Apologies, Wayne, because I used to pummel drivers off the 9th tee to the to the second green to work on my accuracy. And
there you go.
You know, I'd make a few pitch marks in the greens, but I used to lose a few balls right, obviously, in the water and some in the bunker left. But my goodness, it was a great hole. And if you go forward, they had about, because the beauty of Isleworth is they had 6 different tees.
Right.
And you could play to your skill level depending on where you wanted to. So if you go to the front of that tee, it's more of a mid-iron, and it's a wonderful mid-iron par 3. But if you really want to have, make it as tough as you want, your long iron or a fairway wood or even a driver for some people, you move all the way back and it becomes a beast.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a beauty.
Especially, that long.
Second hole of the day, too.
With the shoot that wide,
Yeah. Yeah, we'll post that photo, and it's an absolute rip. I've got many photos from that from around that green.
It's a beautiful photo. It looks amazing.
Yeah,
good on you, Chris. Thanks for that.
Now, thanks to Watch My Numbers, which is the most powerful database golf app in the world. Play smarter and use your data. You can download it, by the way, at Google Play or the Apple Store. Time for another masterclass.
Golf has many ways of measuring ability and performance. But at the end of the day, it's all about the numbers. And that's where Watch My Numbers can really help.
Yeah, and this week's masterclass is to the winner of, or in ode to the winner of the Women's PGA Championship, Amy Yang. I watched part of her final round, and the rhythm to her golf swing was just beautiful. But one of the most impressive things I thought about her swing was actually her takeaway. Very one-piece move, very smooth, wasn't rushed at all, nice and low to the ground. It set up the golf swing beautifully. And I used to do a drill because one of my issues when I played was I tended to pick the club up quite quickly on my backswing. That was sort of my tendencies. We're going to talk to Jonathan Yarwood coming up, and I might mention it to him what are some of the tendencies players do have, actually, because all players have their tendencies, that's for sure, and that was mine. So a drill I used to do was I would place a ball about a foot behind the ball I was hitting.
Great drill.
And then what I'd have to do is I'd have to brush that ball away with the back of my club. So a couple of things happened. It forced me to take everything away in one piece. So my arms, the club, my upper body all working away together. I wasn't just using my wrist, which was my bad sort of a move. And then it also forced me to be very deliberate and slow, and it sort of set up the rest of my golf swing. So a great little drill, and if you watched any of the golf at Sahalee, Amy Yang did this beautifully. Nice inside takeaway. You want to put the ball not directly behind, just slightly inside the line. Yep. Brush it away, and it will help your backswing and your takeaway no end.
It is a great drill, and I'm really, I'm not amazed you used it because it is a fabulous drill, but the simplistic nature of that drill to help somebody who got into the top 20 in the whole world of golf, it just shows you. I used to use that drill a lot for teaching kids.
Yeah.
A lot of the time kids just pick the club straight up and they don't use their body like you're saying. But when you do put the ball a little bit on the inside, a little bit further back, and they've just got to push that ball back and then hit the other ball, it makes the golf swing a lot simpler in people's minds.
Provides a nice wide turn, and you can't rush it. If you rush it, you'll probably miss the ball and pick it up. I think Peter Thompson used to say, I refer to Peter a lot because his wisdom was so good. He said the most important part of the golf swing is the first 2 feet. Yeah. And he's so spot on. And that's, if you get that right, well, it just sets you up beautifully for the remainder of the swing.
You mentioned Jonathan Yarwood a moment ago. If we lock him in and we've got our fingers crossed, we'll have him on the pod as a bonus pod on Friday this week.
Can't wait.
Which will be fascinating.
Yeah, it'll be good.
And we'll have a bonus Q&A pod, another Q&A pod. I don't know, maybe tomorrow, Thursday, something like that.
Any wax in that?
I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet. Well, maybe.
Okay, you're out of touch. We're out of touch.
We're out of touch.
We're out of touch.
You're out of touch, boys.
And guess what? We're out of time.
And thanks for listening to Talk Birdie to me. We appreciate you listening and getting involved. And a huge thanks to our fantastic partners. Without them, the show just wouldn't be the same. Watch My Numbers. Download the app and turn your bogeys into birdies by analysing and improving your game like never before. The Golf Clearance Outlet. Awesome prices on great gear. You can see them in Melbourne, Sydney, Brizzy, Perth, and online at golfclearanceoutlet.com.au. And Ping. See your local golf shop or professional to arrange a Ping Club fitting. They'll help you play your best. If Ping's good enough for Nick O'Hearn, well, that says it all. And we'd love you to get involved with the show. You can leave a voicemail with any comments or questions at talkbirdie2me.com.au or send an email or comment on the socials. And if you can share the pod with a friend, well, we'd love that. Talk Birdie to me's executive producer is Dan Bradley at Kaizen Media. Sound design, Daryl Misson at loudzebra.com. We all know that time is precious. And when your customers call, they deserve an experience that speaks volumes about your customer service and professionalism. With loudzebra.com on-hold messaging, you can transform those waiting moments into opportunities. Greet your customers with engaging messages about your products, services, and company values. Whether it's sharing success stories, special promotions, or tips and tricks, you'll have their undivided attention. On-hold messaging from loudzebra.com.